Hello everyone, today I'm here to share with you 10 books that I really need to / want to read before the end of 2017. It's no secret my TBR shelf has gotten out of hand this year, probably the worst it's ever been since I first started BookTube. So forgive me, I'm getting over a cold, so I probably sound a little bit congested. But like I said, my TBR shelf is getting out of hand. It's gotten over 50 books on it. It may overwhelm some of you, maybe not. To me, it definitely does. So I have picked 10 books here that I want to show you that I really want to read by the end of the year. Now, of course, I want to read every single book on my TBR shelf, but like I said, it's over 50. That's not feasible for the end of the year for me because there's a lot of new releases coming out in September, October, and November that I really want to get to. So I figure 10 is a good number that I could stretch out over these next 5 months, I think. I figure 10 books is a good number to kind of stretch out to read over the rest of the year. So these are 10 books that I really would love to read before the end of the year. Like I need to read these, honestly. Like I don't know why I haven't read them. There's no good reason, but maybe this video will help motivate me to read them, and I'm really hoping that I do. Like I really hope I do. It's new releases. New releases are amazing, but they really hinder my TBR pile a lot. So first book should be no surprise because I have been literally talking about this forever. Like I haven't read it. I'm still filming this video. Have I read it yet? Nope, haven't read it. And that is Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the second book in the Witchland series and I have yet to read it. This came out in January, so I am like 6 months behind on reading it. So go me. Just kidding. I failed horribly, obviously. I haven't read this, I've said time and time again, because I have heard mixed reviews on it. A lot of people said it wasn't as good as the first book, and I am like so deathly afraid this year of getting in a slump that if I hear mixed reviews on it that people didn't like it, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna steer clear. But either way, I really enjoyed the first book, so I need to read the second book, and I need to read it before the third one comes out, obviously, because I don't like being behind on sequels. That is a really big pet peeve of mine. I really have to be current with series, so I need to, this needs to happen. I'm thinking August. The next book, which again, I think I'll probably read in August because there's not a lot of new releases. That is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I got this, I want to say 3 months ago. I have been wanting to read it ever since. I just really want to read a Laini Taylor book, and I have heard nothing but rave reviews about this book. The one thing that intimidates me about this book is the size. Yes, it is massive. Also, her writing style. I've heard it's beautiful, but it's hard to get into. So I am this sun. Gosh, I hate when the sun does this. Every time I film, it's really cloudy and goes in and out. Every time. But I've heard like her writing style is hard to get into. So my fear is like not liking this book because I really want to like it, but I know ultimately it'll be okay if I don't like it because I'm gonna keep this book because the cover alone, but I really want to enjoy it, but either way, I need to read it, so I'm thinking August are going to be the month I knock 2 of these at least out. Like, I'm hoping so, but I really need to read this one. Another one I need to read, and there's no explanation for this one at all, is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Yes, I have not read this yet. This is the only Rainbow Rowell book I haven't read yet, and I think the reason why is because I know, if I know I'm going to read this, like, I'll be, like, officially caught up on a Rainbow Rowell, and there won't be one on my shelf to read. I'm, like, kind of saving this for some reason. I need to read it. Everyone raves about Carry On, and I know I'm probably gonna love it because it's Rainbow Rowell, and I just love her books so much. So, yeah, maybe August for you. I'm making my TBR for August already. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm sure I could fly through this, and I just, it's like I'm sad that's on my TBR shelf, but like, I'm also scared to read it because then I'll be officially caught up on all Rainbow Rowell books. This book is one I am saving for a specific month, and I'm saving this for December because I've been told this is best to read this book in the winter. That is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Yes, I know, you're probably hating me because I'm one of the few that haven't read this yet. I know. Number 1, the sheer size scares me. Number 2, I'm afraid it's gonna break my heart to a million pieces. Number 3, that's all I got. Either way, I'm planning to read this in December, which is going to be a feat for me because December is December and like Christmas and so many things going on in December, but I maybe pick this book and maybe 2 others and really try to focus on this one to read before the end of the year. But either way, I want 2017 to be the year I finally read The Book Thief and see what the buzz is all about because I'm sure I will love it. I'm also afraid I'm not going to like it. Some people are not a fan of this book, so I don't know. We'll just have to see. December though. Saving for this December. So if this is not on my December TBR pile, make sure you comment and reference me to this video and say, hey, you said you were going to read this in December. Just make sure. I'm counting on you guys. Next up are a couple of contemporary books that I know I can fly through, and for some reason I haven't read them yet. The first one is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This again came out in January, and I am a half a year behind. This was very, very popular in January. Everyone was talking about it. I bought a copy of it, and I haven't read this because I know it's going to break my heart. A lot of people say this is a very hard-hitting contemporary. While I do enjoy those a ton, I really have to make sure I like prepare my heart for them, because I will probably cry a ton and it'll mess me up for a couple weeks. So I plan to read this sometime in 2017. I don't know when, but either way, this year will happen. I will read A List of Cages, and it'll probably break my heart and crush my soul, but it'll be read. On that same note is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I got this in my out crate a couple months ago, and I've heard amazing things about it again. A lot of people say it's a hard-hitting contemporary. I don't think it's as heartbreaking as A List of Cages, so that kind of like makes me a little bit open more to reading it. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I've heard amazing things about it and I really want to read it, and I'm not worried about this. I'll tell you at the end which ones I'm worried about the most being read, but these two, I'm not at all. They're contemporaries. I can fly through these, and I'm really hoping I'll enjoy this one because, like I said, I've heard amazing things about it. Another one that's been on my shelf for quite some time is Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. This is an adult kind of retelling of Jane Eyre with like a serial killer twist, so I may be saving this for October because I do plan to do like a whole like kind of spooky themed October like I did last year, and I think there's even like a spookathon in October, so I definitely want to use that for this because I feel like this is the perfect book to read in the fall, so I'm already setting up my TBR for the fall winter. Hope that's okay either way. Like I said, you're going to reference me to this video when I'm making my fall TBR, when I'm making my TBRs in the future, okay? But either way, I've heard amazing things about this. A lot of people have said this was like their favorite book of last year, so I obviously am very, very behind on getting to it. Speaking of being really behind on getting to books is Britt-Marie Was Here by Fredrik Backman. This is a Swedish author. I read A Man Called Ove last year and really, really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite from the years. I just love his writing style, and I've heard amazing things about Britt-Marie Was Here, and a lot of people say to read My Grandmother Asked for Me to Tell You I'm Sorry first, but I honestly like the appeal of I honestly like the plot more of Britt-Marie Was Here, so I might be kind of cheating and read this out of order, but I've heard a ton of people say this is their favorite by his, and I promised myself not to buy his newest release, Beartown, until I read one of his books that are on my TBR shelf, so that's also another motive, so I could buy another book. Who else does that? Like, you can't buy this book unless you read this other book. I do that a lot. It helps me keep myself in check. Doesn't always work sometimes though. But either way, I'm not worried about this one again because it's Fredrik Backman and I really love his writing style. Then I have another one saving for October because I don't know. And that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, and again, this screams autumn and screams October to me. This is all about a girl that kind of stalks Jack the Ripper and wants to learn his trade, so I'm not worried about this one either. I'm just kind of like making sure I read it in 2017 because I know the sequel, Hunting Prince Dracula, comes out in September, and I gotta read that because it's about vampires, and I'm a sucker. Get it? For vampires. Like, oh, Buffy ruined me when it came to vampires. Not Twilight. Buffy's the OG of vampires for me, personally. So, if it's got vampires, I'm just like a moth drawn to the flame, okay? So, I want to read this one, obviously, before I read Dracula, because I'm gonna have to hop on that. And the last book or books, I'm reading one of these, that I want to read before 2017 ends is a classic. Every goals video, I'm like, I'm gonna read a classic this year. And I always start off strong by starting one by the beginning of the year. Do I ever finish it? No. So, I still need to read a classic this year. So, one of these is gonna be read. One of them. So, we got Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, which is probably the easier route, honestly. And then we have The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which is like the first sci-fi novel ever. So, recommend to me which one I should read. I will do it. But either way, I want to read a classic. Last year I read The Outsiders as my classic pick. This year I need to read. I'm just not good with classics, okay? I'm going to be straight up with you about that. A lot of people on BookTube read a ton of classics, and I respect them so much for that. But every time I crack open a classic, I just can't get into it for some reason. So I've tried so many classes, like at least 10, and I just cannot break the cycle of like finishing one. So I just I don't know. These are my two like safe options, I guess you could say. Either way, that was the 10 books I really want to read before 2017 ends, or I guess before 2018 hits, which is crazy that it's going to be here in like half a year. Honestly, a lot of these I'm not really worried about. The ones I am kind of worried about are the classics and the Book Thief. Those are the ones that are kind of a wild card on this list, so we'll just have to see how it goes. I really want to read the Book Thief. It's just the size of it daunts me, and I'm setting myself up for failure by reading it in December, so maybe I'll say that to January for, I don't know, it's so hard. I'm already like backing out of this video already. If you've read any of these 10 books, let me know your thoughts and opinions on them. Are you also setting up yourself like a goal of particular books to read before the end of the year, or am I the only crazy one doing it? Let me know. If you enjoyed this weird video of me talking about books I still need to read, let me know. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe to see 3 bookish videos from me every single week. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.